I'm Curtis Smith, and I want to thank you for sending your comments and your questions to us. We try and answer some of these questions. We can't do all. But this week we've got a question from Michael in Socorro who says his lilac has something that looks like a flower stalk and flower buds. And he wonders, is it going to flower again? Well, Michael, at this time of the year, we've got seed capsules forming here after flowering. Some years we have more, some years we have less, some years we may have none. But if you look at this, you'll see that the old flowers are here mixed with these new seed capsules. And they're going to be drawing energy from the plant. The plant's going to be feeding them, and we really don't want that because we're not after the seed production on this plant. What we want is development of new flowers. So what we ought to do is prune that off back at a bud or some stems, some good healthy stems below that. So I just cut it off here, and that then redirects the energy into these buds right here, which will produce flowers next year. Joni in Albuquerque writes to us and tells us that she bought a house last fall and saw that it had an apple tree, and that was a good thing. But she noticed the apples have been falling from the apple tree all summer and wonders what's going on. Well, Joni, it's not uncommon for apples to be falling from an apple tree. Early in the year, a lot of very small apples will fall. This is one that fell over a month ago, and some fell even before this. It's real common that the apples, as the weather changes, as it gets drier and windier, begin falling from the tree as the tree compensates for the changing weather conditions. So as it gets hotter and drier, it'll drop some apples, it'll self-thin. So that's one of the things that happens. But later on, as the apples get larger, we've got a second situation going on, and that's this one right here. We've got apples that have wormholes in them, and so we have to be very aware that we've got wormy apples. And in this situation, if we look at it, we'll see what's happening. We split this open here. We'll see how the worms have been feeding around the core of the apple. And it looks all moldy, it's not very pretty. There's an apple here that we could still eat. A lot of people will just cut that part out. But we need to be aware that there's a little bit of hazard with this. So we've got wormy apples. The codling moth has already left the apple. That's this emergence hole. This is not the entry hole. This is how the moth came out. So the caterpillar came out, fell to the ground, it'll go away and pupate, form a cocoon somewhere, and then next year it'll be a moth that goes and lays an egg on the little tiny developing fruit, which will then bore into here, feed around the core, then emerge somewhere, sometimes out at the blossom end, sometimes along the side. And that will cause the fruit to be falling, but some will remain on the tree. Depends on how badly injured they are by the worms. Carmen in Santa Fe writes that her kids are in 4-H and raise rabbits. She wants to know if they can use the rabbit manure in their garden. Carmen, that's actually one of the really good manures. There are a lot of different kinds of manure. We use cow manure and horse manure. They've got their pluses and minuses. The rabbit manure, though, is one of the better ones. It's not going to burn things. It's very beneficial to the plants. It can be applied directly into the garden and worked into the soil, or you can compost it. One of the things you want to remember, though, is that other pet manures may not be as good. Dogs and cats, which are carnivores, produce a manure that you do not want to put in the garden. That's one that you want to dispose of. Some of the people I've talked to say the best thing to do is just flush it. Don't put it in the compost. Don't put it in the garden. But this one right here is really good. You see the round pellets, which are the rabbit manure, and it's mixed with this lighter colored material, which is the feed pellets. And rabbits have a tendency to turn over their feed dishes. So this alfalfa, which is high in nitrogen, is mixed with it. So you've got a good nitrogen source in this fertilizer. So this is a good one to dig in. In the middle of the summer, I think I'd use use it very carefully. But in spring, when you're preparing the garden, in the fall as you prepare the garden, just dig it into the soil. It'll do a good job there. Then, take any surplus, put it in the compost pile. This will help you when you're composting. What I do in my compost is put it over the surface at first, and let it sit there for a while as I water the compost pile, and then later turn it with the other material that's composting, so that it becomes part of the compost, and it's a good component of homemade compost. Alicia in Grants writes that she has a lot of weeds in her yard and garden and wondered if she could eat them. She says that they're growing better than the vegetables. You know, there are some weeds that we can eat. There are others that we shouldn't eat. Some of the ones that we can eat, though, are the red root pigweed. Here in New Mexico, it's often called quelites. It's a plant that's pretty good to eat if you know how to use it. So you want to find somebody who uses it traditionally and get information from them. You want to make sure you get the right plant. It has a red root, and that's why it's called red root pigweed. This particular plant right here is already in flower, and it's got high levels of oxalates in the leaves, so this would not be good. But this younger one right here is just leaving that stage, so it's still edible. So you could use this. And so the Quelites is one that is useful. Another one in New Mexico is called verdulaga. It's called portulaca in English. It's a prostrate plant that grows flat on the ground. Now it's okay to eat. It kind of has a sour taste. It can be used in soups or in salads. One of the things though you want to make sure is that you don't get the one that has the white sap. If you break this one open, you notice it does not have a white sap. And so you look for that. This will be very fleshy. Even the leaves are very fleshy. So the white sap is in the spurge. This one's okay to eat, the spurge is not.